Hey everyone, I just wanted to give you a preview of my Three Branches of Government unit. It's about 134 pages total, so I figured that was a little bit too big to be putting in a preview on Teachers Pay Teachers or Teachers Notebook. So I thought I would just give you a video of every single page in the unit so you knew exactly what you were getting. This unit focuses mainly on national government. It goes very briefly into state and local government, but mainly just focuses on national government. I'm going to go through right now the first part of the unit, which is this main part here, which includes all the posters and teaching posters that you would project up on your smartboard or projector. And it has some student pages and things like that inside as well. So we'll just get started here. The first 4 pages are a unit guide. This is just me taking you through how I would do the unit. I would say it would take about 3 to 4 weeks to implement the unit, but that's going to be totally up to you, how you want to do it and how far you want to take it. You can do all kinds of things with this unit. It's a very fun one to do, but I give you some ideas and then how to implement the parts that I have included. So that's 4 pages. This is just optional additional resources that just, again, I give you some ideas and helpful hints on what you can include. All right, so the first thing that you will pass out to students is the Three Branches of Government chart. This is a comparison chart where it compares the 3 branches, who it consists of, what responsibilities each branch has, what they do, or where they meet, and when they meet. So I give you 2 options, one for interactive notebooks and one full page, and an answer sheet for you. Next is a question to ponder. This just is a poster just to put on the smartboard when you first are introducing the unit. The first lesson in the whole unit is about Constitution itself. So this is just to get students talking in small groups or pairs or whatever you want to do on what they already know about the Constitution. You could do this, on a poster or sticky notes, or have them discuss, whatever you want to do. I just put it up there for you. The next couple of slides have to do with the U.S. Constitution, explaining what it is. Again, you can do whatever you want to do, textbooks. This is just kind of an aid to kind of outline the unit and help you kind of go through it. But this goes through why the Constitution was created. It has a picture of it and the separation of powers here. What it consists of: the preamble, 7 articles, Bill of Rights. Then I put on here a larger version of the preamble. Students, I know when I taught 5th grade, I have my students memorize it. That's up to you. Maybe it seems kind of old school for you, but I kind of like the thought of students doing that. You could always print this out and give it to students to study. That's totally up to you. This is a dissecting the preamble sheets. This is when, a lot of these parts of the parts of the Constitution are big words for some of our younger students. So I like to go through each part of it and help them understand exactly what it's talking about. So this is a sheet for them to do that, and this is the answer sheet. You could always downsize these and make them interactive notebook size, like that's about 80%. If you're copying, you can make it about 80% is usually what is good for composition notebooks, 80, 85. Let's see, I go into, this is law, so this is where I hit on national, state, and local, but this is really the only time I mention that. So it just talks about what is law, and how it differentiates between the national level, the state level, and the local, and what each level kind of focuses on according to the law. Then we get into more about the Constitution, what are the Bill of Rights, and amendments. And then what I do here is I go through the Bill of Rights. So on the left side you have the original wording of the Bill of Rights. On the right, what it actually means. Now you can do this a couple of ways. It's up to you. You can just show this part on the smartboard if you want to, and then have students decide what it means or talk about it. That could take a couple of periods. It really just depends on what you want to do with it. But I have all 10 there, and then I have them all as one sheet so students can fill them out as you go through it. Okay, this is the first main task. So the first task that students have to do with the Constitution is I have these 12 cards here that you will cut out and laminate. I suggest putting it on cardstock just for durability so you can use it later in the following years. But each scenario has to do with some kind of constitutional right that is, or freedom that is noted in the Bill of Rights that they learned. So basically, what students will have to do is on this sheet right here, they will have to look at the case. Each case is lettered. They write the letter of the case, the amendment that that the situation deals with. Is it constitutional, yes or no, and why or why not? And you also have an answer sheet. Okay, now we get into the different branches. So now that we've dealt with the Constitution, we get into the three branches of government. Each government branch has its own page like this. This is an overview of legislative branch. All the legislative branch stuff is in blue. Judicial will come next, and executive is at the end, and I'll tell you why later. But anyway, students can use this to fill in their chart, or you can have them, do that and whenever they want, but this is just kind of an overview page. Then we get into the Senate. What are the requirements of being a senator, and what exactly are their responsibilities? Same for House of Representatives. Then what I have here is a sort. You can see the dotted lines here. Students cut these out. I would actually have them cut out prior. Have a parent come in and cut them out if you're doing them in groups or pairs, and baggy them, laminate and baggy them if you want. And then students have to differentiate between, is it a responsibility or a requirement of the Senate or the House of Representatives. Okay, so now we get into how a bill becomes a law. Now, there's a very extensive process, and I kind of broke it down into, or put it into bigger pieces for upper elementary and middle school. So this isn't every single step, but it is pretty much the gist of what students need to know at this point. This is what I would do here. These are pretty much in order, so I'm just going to tell you that right now. And I would have these cut out prior to. Don't let the students cut them out because they're pretty much basically already in order. But you have two sets here, so two per page, per pair or group or per person, however you want to do it, and students will have to put these in order. Now you can do this a couple of ways. You can have them go ahead and sort it as practice, and then on this flowchart write it out in their own words, or if you want to, even should differentiate it if you need to do this with some of your other students. They can, this is the same size as these little rectangles, so they can paste them. So that's up to you. Okay, this is the classroom challenge. I really like this part. This is students get in small groups to propose a classroom law, and this makes it relevant to students. So basically they're to draft a law or a bill for their classroom. And it needs to be, they need to choose a need in their classroom. So they're not going to make, a law that doesn't really is not relevant to them. It's going to be something that they need in your classroom right now. And then it's going to be up to you if you really do want to implement it. The students will debate it, and then they will vote on it. And then you can, maybe implement it for a week or the whole rest of the year. That's going to be up to you, but it's a lot of fun for students to do. I've made here, this is just a copy. It just kind of makes it more real for them and enhances it a little bit, but it's a sheet that looks like an actual bill proposal. So students in the group, they'll just put a number here, number 1, 2, whatever you want to do. Even if you have, one year I had like a stamp that had all these numbers on it, and you could change it, and you can go stamp it, just something like that makes it fun for them. And then they write their names, they title the law, they put the reason for the law, how it will change their classroom, and then they put their names again and signatures. So then you can read it aloud, or they can read it to, Congress or whatever. All right, so after that we get into the judicial branch. Again, an overview. Goes into where they meet, what their responsibilities are, and some facts about them. All right, so we get into different types of court cases. the civil versus the criminal cases and what they entail here, and explains a little bit about those, so students kind of get a good idea of that. We get into the Supreme Court, what are the responsibilities of becoming a Supreme Court justice, and some of the facts about Supreme Court. I really like this slide here a lot. This is getting into a courtroom. Most students have probably never been in a courtroom before. I know I had never been in a courtroom until I was in high school for teen court jury duty. But here it just kind of gives an idea of what exactly is going on in a courtroom. And what I said in the unit guide is if you can make it, maybe even like a field trip or something to actually go into a courtroom, or you can find snippets of movies that have courtroom scenes or shows or something like that, just to make it more real. That would be even more fun for them. What happens during a trial, just a basic overview. Your task. So this is the task for the judicial branch for the class is to do a mock trial. And I'm going to take it over to a different document here that you'll find in the unit here. This is the mock trial. So basically it's 9 pages. It's a script of a mock trial that's a criminal trial. And as you can see, there's on this first page, it tells what the problem is, the roles. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 total roles, and then the rest of the students would be the jury. You can act this out. Students that are, I would pre-choose students for these roles that you think would be good for them, and then everybody else who's in the jury would not get a copy of the script, so they have no idea what's actually going on until the actual mock trial. I would give this to them like a couple of days before or the day before. They should look it over for homework and be prepared to do it in class as like a real play. Even having them dress up or whatever and have, props or whatever would be awesome. But this is a 9-page script here that you can copy for everyone. Okay, so that's one of the other portions of this unit. Then we get into the executive branch. Again, an overview. It's in purple. President, want to become president. What are the requirements? Again, students can use their comparison chart to fill this stuff in. And then what the president is allowed to do. Vice president and the cabinet as well. And it goes into the different heads of departments. And when they meet and all of that kind of thing. All right, the task for the, now let me just say this really quickly. I don't get into how a president is elected in this unit. I actually get into that in my presidential elections unit, quite in depth into that actually. So if you are wanting to spend a lot of time on that, especially with, any upcoming elections, I would really highly recommend you go look at the video for my presidential elections unit, because I get really into that, into the electoral college, and students will do an interactive activity with that. So, but I don't do that with this unit. So if you don't purchase the bundle or the presidential elections unit, you'll have to do that kind of separately on your own. But the presidential activity here is actually a research report on a prior president. And so let me bring up, oh, do I not have it? Uh-oh. Let me see real quick. Sorry about that. I thought I had it up already. There it is. Sorry about that. I thought I had it up. So this is the presidential research project. So you have a research sheets here for students. They'll pick a president that they want to research. And it goes into their birth, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, then in the White House, so number of presidency and years in office. So, and then who were their advisors and vice president, and political party affiliation and accomplishments. And then any interesting facts and famous quotes that they want to include. So they have 3 options for this. And actually coming back here, I have a poster that shows those 3 options, so students will be able to pick from that. Let me come back here. So the presidential research project, the first one is a presentation board. This would be like a threefold board or any kind of board that they want to make, poster board, whatever. But I give you a rubric for all of them. So students will have no doubt as to what they will be graded on. It's on a 4-point scale. So this is graded, the display, you can see it's graded on content, layout, organization, design, and their sentences. Everything should be written in complete sentences and or typed. The second is a speech. These are for kids who are, like to act out, are very outgoing, or don't get nervous in front of crowds. They get to actually become the character. They can dress up as the character or whatever, but they have to also write a speech out that, explains all the things that they wrote in their research sheet. And this is a totally different rubric because it's a totally different report or project. And then the final one is an essay, and these are for students who really like to write, who don't like to be in the spotlight. They will have to read their essay. Those are still skills that students need, so I think it's important to let them do that. But their rubric is going to be different as well. So that is this part of the unit. Okay, and then we get into checks and balances. That's the very last part of this unit. And so we talk about how they kind of balance each other out and how they check on each other. And then students have their own version of this graphic organizer that they can fill out on their own. And that is it for that. The other part that I want to show you is the vocabulary part. Vocabulary, there were so many words for this unit. I included all the words that I could possibly think of. You don't have to use them all. On the test in a minute, you'll see that not all of them are used, but I wanted to give you a good assortment. So I have 56 words, so I made it a separate PDF file. This is the master list. General words that are kind of used throughout the unit, legislative branch words, judicial, and executive, which aren't very many. There are more executive branch in my presidential elections unit, way more. So if you want those as well, I also have pocket chart cards for those as well. You can get those from that unit. These are the cards. They are 3 to a sheet. They fit in the pocket charts pretty well, or on a bulletin board, whatever you want to use it for, in small groups, whatever. But anyway, as you can see, sorry, I was just checking something. That's all the words, and there's a blank one at the bottom if you wanted to do your own, and I'm missing something. The last thing is the unit assessment. There we go. So the unit assessment that I have is 35 questions. The first part is vocabulary. I picked 20 vocabulary words that I felt were probably the most important out of the unit. It's a matching here, so I do have an answer sheet for you. The written response, true, false, and multiple choice. And this part right here has been fixed. I'm just going to let you know 22 is on a separate page. Anyway, multiple choice. So then I give you the answers sheet here. So I think that about covers everything that's in this unit. So hopefully you have found something that might work well for your classroom. All right, thanks for watching.